Bonjour mes amis. Hi guys. I thought I would share a few thoughts about the Seiko SARB033 and 035. The 33 is the black one, the 35 is the cream one. It's not white, it's creamy. Depends a bit on the light. Sometimes it can appear a bit more white. It comes with a white date wheel, while the black one comes with the black date wheel. Both have a great, very sharp style. They're 38mm watches, which is a great size. Even if you have quite a thick wrist, I think you should consider those, because sometimes too much dial kind of kills the dial. And it's nice to have something a little bit more conservative on your wrist, especially if it's your everyday watch and you want to make it work easily with a suit, with a cuff. These watches are very thin, 11.2mm, and so it's a great everyday watch. As I was saying, I have more expensive watches, but I always enjoy picking this up and wearing it for a couple of days. It has lume as well, so it's good to have it by your side at night. So let's look at the styling. It's a nice matte black, and I love the hands on it, very sharp. Even if you didn't have the seconds hand, the minutes hand, which is a long arrow with this white line in the middle, still it almost reaches the outer ring, the chapter ring, and allows for very precise reading of the time. Let me try to focus here. But of course, the seconds hand, which is this knitting needle type, reaches the outer ring, and so you get a very good precise reading of the time. The hour hand is just a shorter version of the minutes hand. There is lume in the middle, not on a very large surface, but it's enough, and it will last all night because it's semi-bright from Seiko. You also find lume at the extremity of the applied markers, which are sort of 2 bars and 3 for at the 12 o'clock, catching the light nicely. The window for the date is really nicely executed, with a little off-white window first and then the silvery window around that, while the chapter ring is kind of it is white, so it's a mix of a white for the date, the chapter ring, and off-white for the rest of the dial, and where the lume is applied. Very crisp presentation, and the Seiko logo is applied and also quite shiny, while the rest of the writing is very limited, automatic in a nice font, and 23 joules. Speaking of the joules, you have the 6R15 movement, which has been very reliable in this watch so far, about 2 seconds a day of accuracy. Of course, you know, people talk about chronometer accuracy. Chronometer relates more to the variations at different temperatures in movement and whatnot. So this might not be able to compete with a high caliber from Omega, but for the price point of $300 to $400, it is quite an excellent performance, and this watch will cost less to service and will probably last longer between services. Let's talk about the crown now. It is signed, which sometimes you don't find on even the more expensive models. The action is very smooth. It's not a screw-down crown, but the watch still retains 100 meters of water resistance. I like that you just can pick it up, wind it quickly. You can even do it with one finger. It's very easy. And just top it up. This watch performs better, like all cheaper movements, at its full power reserve. First position is to change the date. Second position will hack the seconds. So it's a very practical everyday watch. The case is polished all over with a nice brushed raised detail here, which really gives a signature look to the watch. You see here the raised brush detail in the same shape as the case itself. And it ties in great with the bracelet. Some people like to put this watch on a leather strap or NATO. To me, NATO certainly not. That doesn't work for me at all. And I really love the bracelet because it's really quick, it's really fast, really quick to release and put on the wrist, and it gives you this nice flat wear that slides under the cuff, and it's just very neat. And I find this watch very masculine, and there's nothing in the styling that bothers me. It's just a cool watch, and it reminds me of one model from the Grand Seiko, High Beat. Also reminds me of the Rolex Datejust. So it's certainly not an homage kind of watch, but it is a classically styled watch, let's say. I prefer to keep it on the bracelet personally. It's slightly jangly like all Seiko bracelet, but not that much really. There's not that much give to it. You don't see much daylight in between. I think it's quality. Back to the movement, you can see it in the back. It has the Diashock system, which was invented decades ago, I think, by Seiko to provide better accuracy throughout the day, no matter what your activities might be. The rotor is nicely decorated here. The rest is just a standard 6R15. This is the C iteration of it. One more thing to mention on the technicalities, you get for this price sapphire crystal, which you don't get in many Seiko models. Usually you get hard legs. It is totally flat, and there is no anti-reflective coating. So yeah, you can spend 4,000 on an Omega or 4,000 or 5,000 on a Rolex, and those are fantastic, beautiful watches, and you will feel a bit more of the quality there. But you know, it's the rule of the diminishing returns. You know, you spend 10 times more, but you don't get 10 times the watch. And speaking of prices, I was lucky to get these for $300 shipped, because there's a seller here in Hong Kong. Usually though, these go maybe for around $350, $370. At the origin, these were $450 watches, so not really cheap, you know, and they're in the same league as some of the SARBs and the SARY models. But be careful, because those models sometimes run the 4R35 movement, which is a lesser version of the Seiko movements, and have a less power reserve, although they can be also very accurate. And often people will want to have a larger dial. I would stay away from the 41, 42 millimeter dial. 40 looks nice, but you'd be surprised how endearing 38 millimeter dial is. And with this trend to go back to the vintage style of watches of 36 and even 34 millimeter, I think 38 is really the sweet spot for a dressier sports watch that you can wear every day. Let's pick up a bit the cream one. I know a lot of you are hesitating and kind of like the cream one, want to have something different than everybody else, or maybe you have a black watch already or several black watches in your collection and you think this is a chance to get the cream one. It's great, it looks nice with a striped suit, for example. But if it's your only watch, or you only can choose between one of these two, I would still go for the black one. I think it is more versatile and a bit more masculine than the cream one. So to conclude on this watch, it's a really nice watch, a real classic. And before it gets hard to find, I would advise you to to grab one, go for the black one, you won't regret it, and maybe you will want to have the cream one as well. Alright guys, take care, bye bye.